Interesting story. How committed are you? There's a story done by ESPN, and the reporter went out and interviewed an agent, a scout, a coach, and an executive to try to figure out how would you handle this Aaron Rodgers Packer thing, because it's been tense forever. And the agent had a really, really interesting answer. I want to read this to you. He says, I've heard Aaron's stubborn. And who knows that they're not offering up a palatable situation that is middle ground. I'm going to assume some sort of middle ground's been attempted by the Packers. And I'm going to assume right now Aaron's not listening to it. But it's screwing the Packers in a lot of ways because now there's just no cap space. He goes on to say, the Packers called me, said the agent. And they said, listen, we'd like to do something big, but hint, hint, we got to get through a space. Meaning they tried to make a deal, and there's no reason for the agent to lie. It's an anonymous agent. Aaron's not his client. There's no reason for the agent to lie. This is when you go anonymous, you get more truthful answers. Joy and I can tell you that. Once you go anonymous, people tell you the truth. Once you quote them, they go soft. It's very interesting. Green Bay trying to do things, but stubborn is more important than winning. Ego more important than winning. I'm not saying Aaron doesn't want to win, but you're going to tell me how much things matter in your life by the sacrifices you're willing to make. If you're not willing to move away from your hometown for 12 years, you're not really totally committed. Joy did. I did. If you're not willing to sacrifice a little money, you're not going to be Brady. You're not going to be Mahomes back-to-back Super Bowls. It's just very interesting. What do you care about Aaron Rodgers? Jeopardy, power, money, winning, leverage? If this agent and his answer is true, winning's not just the only thing he cares about. Now, nobody thinks that Aaron doesn't want to win. That is not the question here. But it's like the question I often ask young people when I created my podcast network. I ask a series of questions. How committed are you? Well, I kind of want to live around. I grew up in this area. There's a bagel shop over there. I want to see my parents on Sunday. That is awesome. But you're not all in on being great. You want a more well-rounded life. And by the way, pro athletes have off seasons. LeBron, Brady, they have off seasons. You can have a well-rounded life. But it is interesting. This article, go read it for yourself. Agent, scout, executive. What conclusion do you come to? My conclusion is if stubborn is getting in the way of winning, Aaron needs to see a therapist. Because 25 years from now, you're going to look awfully small with one Super Bowl, but you won the argument with the Packers. All right, I want to segue to this. This is interesting. So we're having all these pro days, and I think they're a bunch of nonsense. I don't think you get a lot out of pro days, especially with quarterbacks. I think they're stupid. But we have them, and they're big and blah, 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 blah. But I'm noticing a trend here. Let's just talk quarterbacks and pro days. All of them get kind of, surgically nitpicked, but it's interesting. So Trevor Lawrence, very little criticism. Hell, we didn't even talk on this show about his pro day. I mean, it's not even a topic on a show called The Herd. We love football and college football. We barely talked about it. Mac Jones, there appears to be a love affair currently going on that I can't understand. He is zooming up the board. Zach Wilson, he's been locked into the number 2 spot for a month? Trey Lance wowed everybody at his pro day. My scouts love him. My sources love him. You can't find a bad word about Trey Lance. People like him. The only question is he hasn't played a lot. And then there's Justin Fields. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan of the Niners didn't go to his first pro day. At another network, a former NFL quarterback questioned his work ethic. Greg Cosell, who I bring on this show all the time and doesn't really have strong opinions beyond tape, said this yesterday about Justin Fields.
I think Justin Fields has some issues. I really do. I mean, I've watched his tape and I've watched it several times. And I think there's things that concern me, but he's really a high-level talent. I think Justin Fields is a big physical athlete. He may not be as refined as you'd like right now. So now you have to coach him. And I've always been a believer that coaching is a major variable and a big factor. And where Justin Fields goes will be a big deal because he will need to be coached.
Interesting. And I noticed this. Wonder if you noticed this. Atlanta is number 4 with a pick. Justin Fields is from Georgia. That matters. It does matter. I mean, Joe Burrow from Ohio, Cincinnati. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody, but it matters. It's kind of cool if Troy Aikman always felt and talked and sounded like a Cowboy quarterback. It kind of matters, right? So Atlanta had the number 4 pick. All these rumors for 6 months, they're going to move off Matt Ryan. The minute the San Francisco 49ers appeared to be committed to Mac Jones, meaning they would get Justin Fields, the next day, we'll take calls. What? So Atlanta's not into him. By the way, a story this week on Carolina that needed a quarterback. That it was after the pro day of Justin Fields, they committed to Sam Darnold. I don't know what it is. I thought he had the best single game by any quarterback in college football this year when he rolled Clemson and made great decisions and unbelievably big downfield throws against Clemson. But there are red flags here. And I've always said in life, resumes matter. Remember when Drew Brees said something that ticked off his teammates? And I said, listen, I thought he was a little out of lockstep with the locker room, but he had a good resume of being a good person, charity, Louisiana. You can't bury a guy because of a bad tweet or a bad moment. What's somebody's resume? When I got Greg Cosell, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina, red flags, former quarterbacks, I don't know. It makes me wonder. I mean, I think he's the second best quarterback. But again, I'm in the information business. I make calls, I make texts. I'm trying to figure out, I don't do this professionally, but it is interesting. Every other quarterback in this draft is going up in the eyes of the media, the fans, the teams, and the scouts. And all of the bad stuff is landing on one guy. Could it be that Ohio State's never had a great NFL quarterback because Ohio State is so much more talented? They may not be Alabama good, but if you took Alabama out of college football, just Alabama, Ohio State's arguably the second most talented team in college football, NFL talent. And in the Big Ten, they're so much more talented than everybody else, including Michigan and Wisconsin, that the question is, of course he's piling up all these wins and yards. It's easy. I mean, at least Alabama has to face Georgia and Auburn and Florida, LSU, full of NFL people. Not like Purdue's got an NFL lineup. I don't know what it is, but it is interesting to me. The nitpicking is pretty much off everybody else. I mean, I'll throw this at you. Apparently there's a story that Mac Jones, as a freshman at Alabama, got in a little trouble. I didn't even know that. Didn't even come up. Look it up yourself. Not even brought up. And yet the work ethic of Justin Fields has been brought up. I've never heard that. But it does make me wonder, am I just wrong on this? Been wrong before, be wrong again, but all the nitpicking has landed on one guy. There you go. I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting. I still contend he's the second best talent. But again, I've said this before. I think Trevor Lawrence is the only guarantee success, and whoever San Francisco drafts. Whoever San Francisco drafts, I think will succeed. After that, all bets are off. Coin flip. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.